We are pleased to announce that the borders of Nomadistan are open, not just physically, but also spiritually. Because here, in our mildly ungoverned, beautifully chaotic nation-state, we've decided that immigration, well, it's not a problem for us to solve, it's a reason for celebration. And so, the Department of Human Trust and Dotted Lines, they made this announcement. We, the Department of Human Trust and Dotted Lines, we believe in honesty. Therefore, before we get into the obvious details of how everyone else is joyfully welcomed into our lands, let's make one thing perfectly clear. Immigration policies are not welcome here. And by we don't mean policies created by people with differing beliefs, weird eating habits, or questionable music taste. No, policies are written by those who punch down to stand tall. Those who profit from human suffering. Those who think borders are walls of superiority rather than lines on a map that somebody forgot to erase in kindergarten. Speaking to other countries, if your governance business model involves caging people, charging them for the privilege, or turning suffering into shareholder value, well, congratulations, you've just been added to our do not invite list. If you want to treat immigration as a threat to your gated community's HOA-approved aesthetic, then please kindly take your Gucci lawn chair and your paranoia elsewhere. Having said all of that, here's how immigration works in Nomadistan. Step 1, be a human. Step 2, be decent. Step 3, welcome home. You see, we don't ask for passports. We ask for intent. Not because we're hippies with a great flag. Okay, we are. I mean, have you seen our flag? But because we believe human needs outweigh economic value every single time. You are not your productivity score in Nomadistan. You are not a line item on a cost-benefit spreadsheet written by someone in a tie who hasn't seen sunlight in 6 fiscal quarters. So, let's bust a myth. We Nomadistanis, we do not think that open borders cause economic collapse. Here's our radical idea. When people are allowed to move freely, economies benefit. Weird, right? New people bring skills, ideas, labor, art, new recipes. Closed borders bring shortages, stagnation, and high-priced lettuce. In Nomadistan, every new arrival is seen as an economic catalyst, not a drain. You see, we don't ask what you can do for the GDP. We ask what lights you up, and then we help build something from there. Our immigration policy is not merit-based. It's completely humanity-based. We do this because we know what happens when you only let in the most valuable. Well, you start treating people like stock options instead of neighbors. In Nomadistan, we've outlawed the concept of for-profit detention. We do not privatize punishment. We do not put traumatized families into processing centers with detailed corporate profit reports. We do not employ guards whose bonuses depend on how many beds are filled. Instead, we have instituted the radical idea of meeting people with compassion. And guess what? Our national budget didn't implode. We just stopped spending so much on barbed wire, instead began investing in actual lives. Imagine this. No giant contracts to companies with names that sound like villainous acronyms. No performance bonuses for separating children from parents. Just housing, healing, and hope. In Nomadistan, the welcome process is simple. You show up, we feed you something warm, and then somebody will offer you a bed, a job lead, and maybe a list of the best sunset viewing spots. We don't have a biometric database. We don't have a why are you here interrogation. There is no language exam, although we do ask that you learn to say bathroom in at least one of our many dialects, those being sarcasm, empathy, or irony. Let us be clear, we are not a utopia, but we are trying to act like decent, evolved adults in a world that often behaves like a reality game show that's hosted by angry algorithms. Okay, let's be blunt. Most people don't flee their homes because they love bureaucracy. They flee because they were bombed, they were burned, they were sold, erased, or betrayed. And if they survive the journey, they deserve something more than a cage and suspicion. In Nomadistan, refugees are greeted not as problems to manage, but as stories to hear. Each one brings a chapter that we didn't know we needed, so together, we write new books. Let us now share the latest story of Bob, because while we in Nomadistan are more enlightened now, we still have within our populace those who wish to fall into the depths that many other nation states currently face. So we regret to inform you that Bob, yes, that Bob, the former Miss Leader of Nomadistan and recent dropout of the Learn to Live Through Empathy course, apparently week 1 was just a little too hard for him, Bob decided to return to public life with a new evil plan. You may recall Bob from his last attempt at governance, in which he accidentally declared war on Tuesdays and he tried to privatize the moon. Well, now apparently bored and overly inspired by late-night cartoons, Bob has rebranded himself not as a public servant, but as Dr. Evil Adjacent, a totally original supervillain identity that's absolutely not plagiarized from anything he saw on a VHS back in the 1990s. Bob's newest idea, pitched on a crayon-stained napkin to a shadowy network of billionaires and conspiracy Facebook groups, is a literal arcade game called Minority Whack-A-Mole, where, and we quote, "We finally deal with the real problem, anyone who doesn't look like me in the mirror." Our children cried when they heard of his plan. Adults cried harder. The local wildlife formed a union and they protested, and thankfully, the good people of Nomadistan acted swiftly. Our intervention? We took away Bob's crayons. Within hours, Bob's box of 64 presidential crayons were seized by the Nomadistani Council for Cooperative Restoration. His adult-sized ego diaper, used to mop up emotional tantrums and small constitutional crises, were ceremoniously burned in the town square by a coalition of drag performers, Buddhist monks, and retired librarians. And to prevent further delusions of villainous grandeur, Bob has been grounded. Not metaphorically, but physically, literally. We padlocked his door from the outside, although he still has access to put it. So why does Bob keep coming back? You see, Bob, like most cartoon villains, is driven by 3 things: delusion, a misunderstood childhood involving participation trophies and unchecked narcissism, and the ongoing encouragement of easily entertained mobs who confuse volume with vision. Bob's goal is simple: domination through distraction. He picks the easiest targets: minorities, migrants, artists, thinkers, science, and he convinces the weak-minded that whacking them is somehow patriotic. As if human rights were some kind of carnival game. As if we all weren't living under the same leaking tent. So what is the moral of the tale of Bob? Nomadistan? Well, we didn't play that game. We came close. We almost believed his glossy flyers promising a return to greatness, as long as you're the right kind of great. And then we remembered what greatness actually looks like. Community, diversity, potluck dinners with weird ingredients, and great conversations. Not inflatable hate games and televised tantrums. So yeah, Bob remains. He's locked inside his deluxe lair. It's a converted tanning bed in his third wife's apartment. He's still scheming, still scribbling, and he's wondering why nobody else takes him seriously, especially his new hench cat, Meow Salini. When I first created Nomadistan, I envisioned this breakaway nation from its oppressive mother state. I wondered what would happen if they restarted the right way. You know, with questions, with the idea of people first, greed, way down on the list. I envisioned this seemingly backwards kind of people who nonetheless understood humanity needs to come first and nothing ever truly trickles down. And so I created a Nomadistan People's News out on Substack, where there was lots and lots of articles. And then one day I said, let's do a YouTube channel. Let's take the articles and turn them into scripts and let's let the people speak. But here's the thing, every single article that I wrote out there on Substack, they all started the same way. They started with something that happened in real life that just went the completely wrong way. I also created Nomadistan for my own mental health. You get on any social media platform these days and everyone is just yelling at each other inside of an echo chamber for the sole purpose of yelling at each other. Nothing ever gets accomplished because that's not what feeds the corporate algorithm greed that goes along. We don't know how to communicate. I wanted to come around from the side. I wanted to use parody. I wanted to use satire. I wanted to make people laugh and kind of go, oh yeah, that's really serious. You know, come in through the side door, if you will. I wanted to be able to write articles that felt good, that felt creative. And then I wanted to create videos like this that, well, maybe inspired other people to communicate, to talk to each other instead of at each other. And so there you are. Please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, whatever your inner Nomadistani heart pleads you to do. Thanks for watching.